Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Wednesday, and it's August 6th. This will be our chart lesson for today. And quickly, before we get to the chart lesson, a couple of things here. I posted a live trade that I did today. I just wanted to demonstrate that you could turn on your chart and start looking for a trade. And I was going to show you how long it might take to find one, how long you might have to sit around. But believe it or not, there was a trade within 15 or 20 minutes there, and wasn't even that long probably. And I took it. Of course, I was waiting on a trade to set up in that area anyway, so I knew something was coming one way or the other soon. But sometimes you think that and you don't get a trade. But anyway, it's on YouTube. I posted it. It came out 1 or 2 o'clock today. I can't remember. But go watch that if you hadn't seen it. Great opportunity. I demonstrate another tool that I saw there that somebody's donated, and I talked about making some improvements to that tool, and then another trader's already seen that video and contacted me and says, "Hey, I've already created another strategy that does the same thing that has all the extra bells and whistles that you're talking about, and so I'm going to test that one, and we've already got it written." So I still hadn't heard from the other trader yet. I may not hear from him. I don't know. He may have moved on. May not even be watching the videos anymore. But I did send him an email, but I haven't heard back. And but it sounds like we have somebody else providing the same thing regardless. And so I'll try to install it and test it as well and see if it works and save the other gentleman the time if he hasn't already, if he hasn't been working on adding the other bells and whistles that I talked about that may not be any need because somebody else might have already done the legwork for him. So anyway, I appreciate when people share nice tools like that. And you'll see it when you watch the video. If you don't watch it for anything other than to see that tool that helps with quickly entering in and exiting out of the market, it's worth watching it just for that. But, I just wanted to show people that, hey, yeah, you can use our strategy. You can find the trades in real time. So, and I showed you one from start to finish. And waiting on it as well, and talking about the price action, how it was setting up, and why I was looking for a trade and that kind of thing. So it's a good learning opportunity. But also, I've had a bunch of people, when I say a bunch, a handful, send me emails, reinforcing my thoughts on talking about, hey, yeah, I went to the Discord, or I went to this trading room or this forum, and all I did, it just messed me up. And when I finally listened to you and went out on my own and did my own thing, I had success. And I thought I would read this one guy's email to you. Again, I won't call any names or anything. He didn't say I could read this, so I'm not going to read any names. And he sent me a lot of personal stuff here too, but I won't read the personal stuff. I just want to read the nuts and bolts of this email just because it reinforces exactly what I talked about yesterday. Here's his letter. Hey Mac, I've been listening to your soapboxes over the last couple of days, and I can tell you that you're frustrated with a lot of the naysayers and Discord traders. I want to write to support every word you're saying as someone who has followed your lessons and become successful. And I would like to say this. I mean, it may feel like I'm frustrated with people, but I'm really not frustrated with people. I'm frustrated for people because I know people want to find success. And I'm telling you what you have to do to find success, and you don't want to do it. You want to do something different that you think is going to help you find success. And I get why you think that, because it's just the nature of the beast. But if you just listen to what I'm telling you and do what I tell you, you'll have more success. And basically, that's forget about the discords, forget about listening to other people. Go trade every day. Sit there by yourself, take your trades, do your thing the way you think you're supposed to do it, so you can figure out what your problems are and where you're making mistakes, and you can correct them. And the only way to do that is to get the screen time. First, you got to learn the strategy. So make sure you learn the strategy first. Then get on the simulator and take every trade and do this as much. If you can do this 8 hours every day, do this 8 hours, or whatever the trading hours are, 7 to 2:30. Do it. And trade as much as you can, and take every trade you see that you think fits our criteria, and don't worry if wrong or right until the end of the day, and then go back and study them And then that's when you worry if you were wrong or right, and you figure out what you did right, you figure out what you did wrong, and you start to learn your tendencies and you correct them. But anyway, so yeah, I'm not so much frustrated with Discord people or anybody really. I'm just frustrated for traders that complain and wonder why they can't have success, and then I tell them what to do, and they're doing just the opposite. I tell them what doesn't work, and that's what they're doing. And I can't make any of you do anything you don't want to do. But I can just tell you, if you're in forums and you're in discords and you're in trading rooms, you're wasting your time. And that's basically what his email is trying to tell us here. But he goes on. I'm not going to read all this. Some of it's personal, but he says that he's been trading basically since 2009, and he tells me a few things that are somewhat personal here that to show me how long he's been around reading my stuff and studying my stuff. He goes on to say, everything you say is true. I fell into every trap you describe. Traders are stubborn people. You need to be stubborn to stick out the painful process of learning over many years, but the stubbornness also means you don't listen to advice until you get burnt. I lost a lot of money in the early days. Pains me to think of it. There's no shortcut to learning. I think it takes many years. Al Brooks said it took him nearly 10. You just have to try and fail and study and learn and try and fail again, and you have to do it on the simulator. Otherwise, you're going to lose your shirt and you won't be able to stay in the game, which is what I say. I don't care if you got $1 million account. You can't. That's not enough money to learn to trade live because you can't take enough trades without losing that money. So he goes on to say, I've been profitable for a while, and I've been posting recently in the forum about the boredom and loneliness of trading. I think trading is like an elite sport. You can never take your skill level for granted. I still have the occasional rare bad patch. It's usually when I try and mess with my routine somehow. I'm ashamed to admit it, but last year I jumped in a Discord just to watch for a week. It threw my game completely. Too much noise. Those Discords weren't around when I started, and I figured it to be fun to watch newer traders learn. Never again. There's so much tiny nuance to every trade. Not every second entry is the same, and to access those 15 years of learning, those thousands of hours of watching the chart, I need to be finely tuned to my gut feeling and listen to that at the moment of taking a trade. That requires no outside interference, just total focus. I want to scream it from the rooftops. Every single thing you say is true, and I had to hear it hundreds of times before it actually clicked. This is the hardest easy money you'll ever make. It takes skill and practice and discipline, not just successful, but to stay successful. New traders don't realize how lucky they are. My first mentor told me he had to send off for charts and draw price by hand on graph paper in the early days. Now we have the simulator, which is a miracle to speed up learning. We have YouTube. We have you. I keep telling people that when I started, people were charging 10K for what you do for free. Anyway, I just wanted to have something positive to read. I wanted you to have something positive to read amidst all the naysayers that have been getting you down. And you can tell I'm not lying because you can tap my email address into your server and see the emails I've sent you going back to 2013. Never seemed right to me that people get successful off the back of your teaching and then just disappear. So I like to drop you an email from time to time to say thank you. And then he went on. He told me a lot of personal stuff about himself, which I always enjoy hearing that because, sometimes I recognize a name, and I do recognize his name from the forum. And I know that he's posted a lot of stuff in the forum, and you can tell once you get successful at this, when you can read somebody's writing and their post and their, especially in the forum and things, I can tell they know what they're talking about. I can tell they understand what they're doing by the way they speak. And that's a thing I can do today. And I've said this before. I can tell if a trader's successful just by talking to them in many cases, by the words they use. If they throw out these phrases that are like the golden rule of trading that are wrong, I know instantly they don't know what they're talking about. And that those golden rules are out there all over the internet, and maybe only 2 or 3 of them are really accurate. The rest of them are just BS. but they're considered the golden rule of trading because they're parroted by everybody. And if you start parroting some of that stuff, I know what is right and what's not, and I can read you and sniff you out in a few minutes. And you'll be able to do the same if you ever get to this experience level. And this guy's can do it obviously too. I can just tell by his writing. I know he knows. I can tell from his writing in the forum. He's wrote some stuff that I felt was gold in the forum, and you'll see where I expounded on some of the things he said in the forum, talking about how he hit the nail head on. So anyway, not to get on a long soapbox today, but I wanted to share that. And I've had a few other emails just like it. People telling me the same thing. You're right. You're right. But I get it why people don't listen, because I didn't listen in the beginning either. So I'm just trying to save you some time, some heartache, and and trying to help you get profitable, honestly. Hopefully you can do that at some point. It's not easy. It's not, once you get there, it's not that hard anymore. But getting there is a nightmare almost, because your human nature and your common sense all are going to work against you, and those are things that are just in that, they're built into us, and they're gonna work against you big time, and that's what makes this so hard. And if people would just say, okay, I'm going to listen to you and try what you say and do it for 2 weeks. Just try it for 2 weeks and see if you don't get better. And if you don't, then go back to doing whatever you want to do. I know you're not going to get successful in 2 weeks, but I bet you improve in 2 weeks. If you do what I tell you to do for 2 weeks, I bet you'll improve. But anyway, yeah, let's get back to the chart lesson. I think I've beat this horse to death the last few days. I think I've made my point. And again, I'm not frustrated with anybody. I'm really not. I'm just frustrated that people won't listen, and it just keeps them from being successful. That's the only thing I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated because people won't listen long enough to become successful. So it's not like I'm frustrated with the teaching or frustrated with what I'm doing, I'm going to keep doing this. I made a commitment to it, and I've been frustrated enough. I could have quit this a long, long time ago, but I made a commitment, and I love trading, and I love helping. And if only one person is successful, it was worth my time and effort. But I know there's a bunch out there. I don't always hear from all of them. Usually they'll write to me and say, hey, I finally made it, and I'm not coming around much anymore, but it's because I'm busy trading. And that's what I try to tell you. Most of these people that are successful are busy trading. They don't have time to come in. They don't have the patience to come in to Discord or a forum and deal with people. There's a few people like this guy that sent me this email that does post in the forum still, but it's because he's got the bug like me, and he likes trading enough that, and it is a lonely profession. It is a lonely business. And so that's where we get a lot of interaction with other traders, is through the forum or the teaching or whatever. That's one reason I do this, for the interaction, because I love trading. And otherwise, I just don't have anybody to share it with, because you can't share it with your friends and family, or you're better off not telling anybody what you do. I don't even tell people I'm a trader. I just say I'm an investor, because I do invest in lots of other things as well. I invest in real estate, art, bullion. I invest in a lot of things. And so I'm an investor, really, but I just happen to be a day trader too. So and that's my main income, really, or it used to be. It's not so much anymore, because my real estate's become pretty large. And if you become successful as a day trader, you're going to need tax shelters, because you're going to make a lot of money, and you're going to need to shelter that money. And that's where I started investing in real estate. It's a great tax shelter. So you get a lot of write-offs in real estate. Maybe that changes down the road, but for now it still works. And so that was one reason I got into it. And now it's just, more income for me. So being a successful trader leads to other successful business opportunities, because you have the money to do it. But let's get to the chart lesson. Let's start here with the daily chart. I don't know if you could hear that beeping in the background, but my wireless headphones, the battery was dying, so I had to plug that in, and it was beeping. So I don't know if you could hear it or not. Hopefully not, but if it was, that's what was beeping. And so I've plugged it in, and it's not going to beep anymore. But you can see we had another upward day. It doesn't look like a very bullish day, but we had a really good move, and we had a really good move off that trade that I took, the example I took. That turned out to be it was a failed breakout, and I tell you all the time, failed breakouts, whether it's up to the high side or the low side, are often very important lows or highs for the day. And so those are good times to try to catch runners. And it would have been a great one this morning. I would have never suspected it, but that's just it. Failed breakouts tend to give you good runners even when you least expect it. So you're almost always better to try to get one. I didn't trade a runner on that one. I just traded a single contract because I was using that strategy entry too, the automated strategy entry, and I've just been testing it a little bit. I haven't spent a lot of time with it, and so I didn't want to go in with 20 contracts trading that just yet. So I want to play with it a little more and get a little more used to it. But it works really good. I had a little bit of trouble for the trade entries were not showing, but it was just simply because I didn't have my chart trader turned on. It took me a minute to figure that out. So the trade was basically over before I figured that out. But now I need to remember to turn that on. I guess I'd had it on before when I was using it, and so I didn't realize I had to turn that on to see the trade. But you do. So unless there's some other setting in there that I haven't seen yet, but maybe there is. I just turned my chart trader on, and you can see the trade after that. So, but you'll see that in the video too. But anyway, you can see we did have an up day. It doesn't look very bullish here, but we had a really bullish move up, and we closed up. Let's flip over to the 2,000 tick chart, and we did close higher today, and you can see how it looks on that chart. And here it is, and you can see we had a really big move up. Here's where I took the trade that went much higher, and you can see it did come back and almost reset before it went higher again. But really what you had, I didn't really show it in the trading video, but you had this first leg up, and then you had your second leg up. And you can see that was about, we went a little higher than that, but we couldn't sustain it, and that's about where we closed, a measured leg up. And that's pretty common to either come up a little short or go a little further, but you'd be surprised often a measured leg is to the tick. It's scary how close it is to the tick sometimes, but that's really what we had here was 2 legs up. So you can see we started out what looked like might be a range, but we just went right through there. But we did come back and test that too before going higher, but we pushed through and pulled back and tested, went higher, came back 2 legs back again and tested it again and went higher. And then the rest of the afternoon, really from about 10:30 on, we were stuck in this tight trading range here. So, but there's a good many trades today, quite a few green ones too. But let's zoom in here and we'll go through these trades and we'll wrap this day up. 7 o'clock came, I believe it came right in here, one of these bars, 641, 701 right there, yeah. But you couldn't, it's just too congested to go short there. The odds are it's going to go lower, but it's not worth risking it. And you can see it broke lower and then tried to go lower one more time before it failed and went higher. And then we tested that resistance one more time. And you can see we've already tested it 1, 2, 3. That's like a quadruple test right there. I like going short, and you can see that's a nice move. And if you catch that one move, you probably could get a runner, and that's probably it for your day. You're probably done. Then prices bounce, close outside, new high, and we actually get 2 legs up to a new high. This is, again, somewhat congested here. But you can see, again, we had a 1, 2, 3 triple test. So I like going short there. You get your close outside and 2 legs up plus a triple test. Go short right there. And a lot of times you're going to get 2 legs to a new low, so it might be an equal leg to that one. And that would have gotten you back to the, plus you were looking, the reason you're still thinking the short here is you're looking for prices. This is where we closed yesterday, this dotted red line, and we opened at 8:30 here. So there's a gap right there between those two. You won't see it because we're showing the overnight trading, but if you don't have the overnight trading in there and you only show regular hours, then it would have closed right here on yesterday or yesterday at 4. and it wouldn't have opened back up till this morning until right here. And so that leaves a gap between there. We don't see that on our chart because we use a 24-hour chart, but you want to be aware of it because prices try to fill those gaps before they move on again. And so I like that short. And of course we come up, we get a close outside, 2 legs to a new high in that triple test, another short. We run down. Notice what happens. You're working down, you get a close outside with a first entry, and you turn down and make a new low. That's a second entry long. You could almost argue for that to be blue, but I marked it green just because we didn't quite fill that gap yet, and so that concerns me a little bit. And if you did take this trade, guess what? There's exactly 6 ticks to give you a 4-tick scalp. And if you try to get 1 tick more, guess what? You got stopped out before it went exactly where you thought it was going to go. So follow the rules. There's a reason we go for 4 ticks. If you want to go for more than 4 ticks, use runners. But anyway, we do make that second leg down. So once again, maybe you try again to go along there. You're almost always better off to wait on the higher low in a situation like this. And we do get a higher low, but it looks too congested. There's a reversal pattern here. Technically it's not because I don't think this breaks lower. Does that break lower right there? I can't remember if it breaks. Maybe it does break 1 tick lower. So yes, first entry, second entry. So it would be a failure, but I think it's just too sideways here to be looking for a failure. So just sit tight. But you do get your close outside, new high. And again, that one's, you could argue for that to be green as well because you got your break and a new high, but a lot of times you get 2 legs up and it's not really any key entry point you're looking for. We're close to this resistance, but we're not quite there. But still, you might enter that. Again, I'd wait on a lower high, and you don't get one. It just runs all the way back down here, bounces off that support again, but no setup there. The signal bar is no good. But we run up, close outside, tries to go higher once, fails, and gives you a second entry short there, right back at this resistance again. And you can see that. So I like going short there. Probably get a scalp out of that, maybe more. And it runs down, gives you 2 legs down, then it gives a close outside and a new low, and it reverses again. No setup to go long there, all the way up. Then you get a close outside and new short. So maybe you go, or a close outside and new high. So maybe you go short there. Again, you'd be better off to wait on a lower high to be sure, but you don't always get the lower high. So you know, sometimes if you really think we're going lower, it's worth risking here. And so this was a breakout. So it's probably going to fail at least temporarily and come back and test this breakout area right here. And you see it actually pushed back in and tested it from the other side and went lower. So maybe you go short there, but it's working down, close outside. You actually get a turns up there, so when it comes back by, it's a second entry short, but you can't trade that on the engulfing bar, and when it closes, it's not a good enough signal bar, and it just looks like sideways congestion, so no entry there. Runs down, and it finds support here. You get a triple test. I like going long there, I'll be honest with you. I marked it green, though, because look how sideways it is. There's no rejection there yet. But after the 3rd time, you're probably going to get rejection, at least enough to get a scalp. But it's still congested, and it's difficult for most to read that, and you could get fooled. So I only marked it green. And then you do get a reversal set up here. I think we still haven't filled that gap, so it feels premature to be looking for a reversal. But sometimes when the market's strong, you can't fill these gaps. And there's a lot of buying been coming in there all morning, all across there. And what it is people want to start buying before we get here because they're afraid they're going to miss out. It's already bounced early a few times, and people say, well, I'm going to get in early just in case. And if I'm a little early, okay, I'm willing to risk a point or a few points, a couple of points. But I want to make sure I don't miss the move. And on that reversal, it takes off. And you can see that was all they needed. and then you're working higher here. You actually get this is actually a second entry by the count, but I wouldn't enter that on a second entry alone, because to me that looks like one leg down, and then so a first entry, but it's also a 1, 2, 3 triple test. And in my opinion, it doesn't close outside the trend channel either. That's moved a little bit. You can see that working up. So I like going long there. And that's a great move. And you actually get a first entry, second entry, and there's a trend. There's a short-term trend working up here. And you do get a close outside, but you can't make a new high yet. So you don't have a new high. So we're probably going to get a correction here. So draw your trend line when you get your 3 bars in a row, and then you get a close outside, first entry, then you actually get a second entry, but by that time it looks like a range. It looks like a congested range. But notice it turns down and makes its new low. So you got to break outside that channel, a 2-legged correction, and move to a new low, and it's also a failed break out of this range that reverses and closes back inside with a signal bar that closes on its high. I like going long there for a couple of reasons. It's just a first entry by the counts, but this channel plays out. You get the break, move to a new low. It's also a failed break out of that little congestion range. That's really a little range. It's a little more congestion. And it closes back inside. And a lot of times those failures turn out to be important lows or whatever. And I was just really expecting prices to come back and test those highs and probably turn down again since we had a break outside this channel. But no, man, that thing takes off. And if you hadn't watched the video, you'll see I talk about a runner there. If you'd have had a run, if you went for a runner on that, you could have got close to 20 points, 15, somewhere easily between 15 and 16 points on this. Depending on how, of course, depending on how you managed it, but you could have easily got, I think it was, what was it? Let me just check here. You could have easily got 9 points, and you could have got 14 to 16 depending on how you managed it. But you finally get a close. This is a spiking channel up too, and you get a close outside. It doesn't make a new high yet. It gets a little trend working down, and this is just sideways. So this is your first leg down, first entry, second leg down, a break above that bar is a second entry long. You're way away from the EMA. It's probably going to at least run back to the EMA at the very minimum, but we may still make a new high on this because that's been a pretty good move up. And sure enough, look at it go. And you get another big move up off of that second entry. And this channel's played out. And it is a test of the breakout that now you've got support twice there. Again, you have to be careful about this long, but since it's way below the EMA and due to come back to it, and because you're still looking for a retest of the high, I think it's worth taking that trade. And boom, it turns out to be another. And you probably would have caught a runner on it too. And there's actually a second entry long here, but again, that's too congested, so it just looks like one leg down. First entry, and then your second leg down, and you make a new low, and a break above that's a second entry. Now this one gets a little more than enough to get your scalp, but it's 2 points, but it still turns back down. But it doesn't matter. We're just looking to get a scalp out of that. And then it runs down again, breaks higher, and then gives you a higher low with a big bullish bar. That looks like rejection. So I like going long there. There's plenty of room back to this high. And it turns down back up at those highs and then gives you a lower high. You could actually trade this in the engulf bar. It broke higher and turned down. Let me zoom in a little bit here. I'm sorry. I'm way out there. But you can see that's mostly bullish, and it broke higher and failed and turned down. You can go short on that engulfing bar. This runs down. Gives you a second entry long right there. And that's your first break outside. So you got to be really long or really careful about going long right there. And then when it breaks out here on the failure, you don't really get a setup. It would have worked. But if you went long there on the second entry, you're going to get burned. But clearly you should be able to see the trend lines. And actually, I think this one's a little, More like this. I think that one shifted too. And you can see it. We're still in that channel. And you get your break here. Moving up, you get a first entry. You move up on your second leg. And when it broke lower, there's a second entry short. It's not a very good setup, even though you do have a close outside the new high. I would just sit tight on that. And you could argue, hey, well, we got a lower high over here, but you can't go short into the lows of these lows across here. And it bounces again. But it's just chopping along, so it's no rejection there again. So not really a good chance to go long. It turns back down, no setup there. And that's close to closing in the upper 1/3, but I just think I don't like it. You're working down. That's the first close outside. You don't have a new low. You might argue there's a new low and a close outside all in one here. That's not a good enough signal bar. And then this is an inside bar. It does make an equal low, but I just still don't like it. It was a great move up, but that's hindsight, and you don't have in real time, you don't have the beauty of hindsight, and that just, look at it, just doesn't look too promising right there. But look at it go. Runs up. Again, you get a failed breakout here, but there's no break or close outside of that channel yet, so I wouldn't even risk that one. Only if I got a lower high. And you do get a lower high here, but it's moved too far. It needs to be closer to the high. It looks a little congested, and you see it would have failed on you. And then it runs back up with two legs up to a new high. Now this one, if it would have broke higher and then turned down, you might have traded it on the engulfing bar, but it doesn't. And by the time it closes, you got too much stem here. So just wait and see if you get something else. You get a lower high here, but it's moved too far. And then looks like you're going to break higher again, and you close back in the range. So you could just trade that like a turn down a range play there, and maybe even a lower high, although you'd like it to be a little closer to the high. But anyway, there's still plenty of room to scalp out here. Breaks out the other side, but that's an inside bar. This one's got too much stem. It's an engulfing bar. And then this one is close. It's got a little stem, but maybe it's still closing the upper 1/3. So, and you could argue that we've tested that 3 times there at least. So maybe you go long on that one. It works. Would have been a nice move. It's not perfect setup, but there's reasons to consider it. So I did mark it green. And that takes us into 230. Nothing else after that. There is another breakout here, but we're still in this channel. So no reason to go short yet. So there it is. A lot of trades today. A lot of good trades today. A lot of good moves today. Again, if you haven't seen the trade example I showed you, go watch that. Good learning opportunity there. Chance to see the trading software strategy that for NinjaTrader that I talked about. Cool little tool. And it sounds like we've got somebody who's provided us with another version of it that does the same thing, but also has some more bells and whistles on it. So I'll be testing that. And he told me I could share it with everybody. So I'll clarify that further with him before I put it up there. But I'm going to test it a little bit just to be sure. I mean, I trust his word that it probably works. But just to be sure, I'm going to test it a little bit before I try it live, and then I'll try it live as well. And then if I'm happy it's working great, which it sounds like it does, then I will share it, put it up, and we'll share it as long as he's still agreeable to it, which right now it sounds like he is. So anyway, there it is. Pretty nice trading day. You can find these trades in real time. It doesn't move. I mean, if it's moving too fast for you, then you're just not there yet. It's like being a professional baseball player. When you first step up to the pros, it's probably hard to hit those fast pitchers, but with a little practice and study and a lot of batting practice, you can get to where you can hit them. You get used to that faster speed. It's the same thing with trading. This is a skill. And if you don't practice at it when the market's faster And then the market's going to, and then you get used to trading that fast, and you're starting to have success with it, and then it'll slow down, and you'll be so mad because it feels like watching paint dry, and it's just a struggle. It feels like sometimes to get 4 ticks, where now you can get 4 ticks, and it's you're not in the trade 5 seconds sometimes. So be careful what you wish for. Don't believe that you can't do this in real time. Just because in the chart lesson here I show it to you after the fact does not mean you can't do it in real time. I've shown lots of trade examples of doing it in real time over and over and over, and I explain it, and a few of them we've had to wait and wait and wait because we weren't getting the setup. But when it finally came, we pulled the trigger and we had a winner. And that's it in a nutshell. You got to be patient, and you got to be disciplined, and you got to wait on the right setups. But when that right setup comes, you got to pull the trigger. You can't hesitate, because if you hesitate, you'll miss out. Then you'll be waiting and waiting and waiting again, maybe. And some days you have to wait more than others. Today was a really good day. Again, I thought we might have to wait a little bit here, but we didn't. Set up pretty quickly. Um, did exactly what we thought it was going to do. Actually, it did more than I thought, because I really thought we were going to turn down right here. And you can see it looked like it was going to, but the buyers just kept coming. So there was a big streak of buying right there. But yes, this was a great trading day in my opinion. And hopefully you got a chance to learn something. You got the chart lesson. You had a live trade example. You got to watch me wait and find and show you how to find a trade. Just following the rules, understanding what prices do. But lots of learning opportunities out there today. But I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. Believe it or not, tomorrow's Thursday. And tomorrow will be, August the 7th? I mean, next thing you know, this month is half over. We've already got 1 week gone in this month. Football season's about to start. I'm a huge college football fan, if you haven't heard me say that before. So I'm excited. I love this time of year, right before end of August, when football starts, and they're doing fall practice and all. And I get all excited because I love college football. And it's only a few weeks away, so I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to wrap it up. That's enough. This is Matt with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll